Morning, everybody. Good morning. For anybody who's joining us, good morning. Thank you for joining this discussion. We've got some guys on Zoom, but those guys are like, they're just watching. They're doing a project, so they're just watching. So I've said my greetings to them. But for everybody on Instagram, good morning. Thank you for joining us this early morning. I know some of you may be at work or maybe out doing your day-to-day business or whatever, but thank you for joining us. Today I'm joined for another discussion on youth development in Africa, specifically Nigeria, with the youngest commissioner in Nigeria's history, Seun Fakorede. He doesn't need much introduction. The title alone speaks for itself. He's the Commissioner for Youth and Sports in Oyo State, and we're going to be having a discussion on youth development. So I want us to dive straight into it because I know it's morning time, but I want us to dive straight into it. So Seun, please tell us about, in the shortest way possible, tell us about your journey into politics at such a young age. What spurred you on to go into politics?
Okay. All right. So once again, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Yeah. So, well, for me, the journey has been, for quite some time now, and yeah, as at August, 26, 2019, I was the youngest, commissioner in the history of Nigeria. So right now, I mean, no longer the youngest, because we have a younger lady,
Oh,
from
wow.
Kwara State. But of course, I'm still the youngest male, commissioner because I mean she's a lady. Yeah, so um,
Still try and claim it, whatever you can do.
yeah, man. So she's that. So for me now, my journey has been, far back as 2003. I believe, when I gained admission into government college, where I started my secondary school, and since then, it's been a deliberate, journey, from from that time, like that. So, for me as a person, one of the things that actually, helped me so much, it's being deliberate and being consistent, with the line that I decided, to work, in, and also secondary school. I mean, I was the head boy, the head of school, and then, I proceeded into Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU, Ife, and I mean, I, started, leading different, groups. I was, a leader in church. I was the church administrator at some point. And then,
Interesting.
I was the president of, a power ministry that was founded by Fela Durotoye. It's called Eden. Eden is an entertainment and lifestyle, ministry, for believers like that. I started, I started presiding over Eden when I was in 200 level. So it was pretty much, I was just entering 200 level, and then I was already presiding over an organization that has 400 level students, 600 level medical students, and all like that, you know, like that. And then, so it's been, sorry, please. Uh, so it's been an amazing, journey, for me. I mean, starting very, very, young, and still, maintaining, a good level of, impact, like
Yeah.
that. I remember when I was in 200 level, uh it became so overwhelming that I had to, go to God to ask God, what am I exactly, what am I meant to do? I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot of responsibility. I have my, my academics, which is, the primary reason why I'm in this university,
Yeah.
and, I was running business, too. And then, I presiding over, an organization, a big one for that matter, being, a church administrator for a church that had, working class, people that
Wow.
had, master students,
Yeah.
that had older people like that. And then I'm just, 200 level student. So the
Wow.
what's it called was so heavy. But I just, asked God, what am I meant to do?
Yeah.
How will I continue with this. And
Yeah.
then, I remember vividly then that, I had like, two choices, like that, the Holy Spirit gave to me that, okay, and people that, okay, they have a lot of, tax that what you need is either you ask, for capital if you want to drop in function, well. So, but I just decided to go for the option that, okay, you know what? I think I would rather ask for an increase in capacity, so that I can actually, absorb these responsibilities than to say that I'm going to drop one, for one. And something about me is that I don't even quit. I'm not, quick, to
Yeah.
quitting,
Yeah.
like that. So I really just want to, put my all, my all in it and all like that. So, and I'm happy that, I followed, that direction, to ask for an increase in capacity. And
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, I did so well, presiding over Eden. I did so well, being the church administrator of my church then. And then,
Yeah.
I made sure that, my academics, doesn't even suffer, for it, while I
Yeah.
was even still doing, side, businesses and all. So it's
Wow.
been an amazing journey.
That's
And
good.
in 2015, I started Home Advantage Africa. Home Advantage Africa is, a non-profit, that is actually dedicated and devoted, to promoting African, millennials like that. Because today, more than ever before, we believe that we need Africans, to stand tall, to tell their stories to the world. And
Yes, sir.
if it is going to be about Africa, it best be by Africans like that.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, we shouldn't be seated and then, folding, our hands, and then, people are telling us about our Africa. No, they definitely don't have, as much, deeds that we have. They
Yeah.
definitely don't have, as much information and knowledge about our own. So it's just like writing, the story of your life. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody can write it better
Better
than,
than you.
you can,
Wow.
write
Yeah.
it. Because I mean, when, the head aches, stomach, when,
Mm.
there's nothing there. So I mean, nobody can. I mean, the way you are now, Daniel, you can't tell if, I'm hungry right now or I'm
Yeah.
not, because
Yeah.
I mean,
Only
I'm the
you will
one that
know.
can actually feel it. So that's the cruise of, everything about. So if it's about Africa, let us, be able to tell the story ourselves. And it's quite unfortunate that a lot of things have been said about us, that it's actually, painted us in a very, very, bad light. But until the lions, learn how to write, every story
Mm.
will glorify the hunter. So that is
Wow.
why in our lions, need to, wake up, so that we
Wow.
can write about how it is exactly. I'm not saying that, I'm not looking forward to a situation whereby, we paint Africa in the picture or in the light that we are not. No. I like, so much. I mean, just like that quote, by, Amika Cabra that says that,
Yes, sir.
tell no lies, claim no easy victory, tell it the way it is. So
Yeah.
I like us that, okay, let us tell it the way it is. If, we are this way. Yeah, you know what? Let us, paint it to the world that this is the way we are, while, we are busy, growing, to see, what we can do better like that. So, I mean, if, so the beautiful stories that we have, the beautiful sceneries that we have, let us be able to show it to the world. There are a lot of
Yes, sir.
places in Africa today that, if, it's been documented, people will find it difficult to believe that it's Africa, but really, it's Africa. So, but, I mean, a lot of people, they're always, quick to tell our story and then to show, the ugly parts of Africa. So a lot of people have that, memory of Africa, or that image of Africa is a place where we have, big, fat, dirty elephants, impoverished,
Yeah.
children and
Yeah.
all like that. But no, that is just, a part of Africa.
That's a
There are
part
a
of
lot of
Africa.
places in the world today that, we also have, indigent, people, people that are then, communities that are not, quite, established, as it were.
Yes, sir.
So, but I mean, they don't, that is not, the highlight of their story. In,
Mm.
Europe, in America, that's not the highlight of their story. They put their best foot forward. So, and
Yeah.
that's what we need to do in Africa. To let us put our best, forward. Let's put our best,
Yes, sir.
mercenaries forward. But they cannot do this for us. So we
Yeah.
are in the best position to do this. So I mean, so those that drive was actually, what influenced, my starting home advantage, Africa. That look, Africans, we have an advantage. Let us,
Yes, sir.
maximize it. And until
Mm.
we conquer our local community, that is only when we become an exportable material. So, I mean, I don't, see people trying to, I mean, you don't have to try to be like them. If you try to be like them, there's nothing that we are selling. We can only sell, our uniqueness. So, I mean, so if I'm trying to talk like an American, if I'm trying to talk, like the English, I mean, I become valueless like that. But I mean, if I own my identity, if I own, the way I do my things, they are interested. They want to see that, okay, yeah, this guy is, different, this guy, sounds different, so they want to hear something new, like that. So, I mean, I'm very, very sure that, someone, in the UK or someone, in America would like to hear, my pidgin English, and then, I mean, and such a person is not going to be anyway, interested in fact, even if I know how to, use the American accent, or the English, accent and all like that, I mean, they would not, it doesn't, I mean, it's like, I mean, you're just speaking in my language, so it's not new, to them. But when you say something different, I mean, I was at an engagement, sometimes in maybe 2016 or 17 in Lagos. And then, we're there and we had these, white guys, come around and all like that. So I was in a group of like maybe 4 guys or 5. And then we're just, it was, we're just having, drinks and all, like a cocktail. And, all of us, Nigerians, were all free, speaking in our, what's it called? And all of a sudden, this white guy, came into our midst and greeted, everybody. And by the time, most of these people were going to respond, automatically, something, supernaturally changed or twisted their tongue. And then they started, using accents. And I'm like, oh, really? Why do we have to do this? I mean, because it's a white, so you have to, what's it called? You have to tailor yourself to be able to, I don't understand. So I was already like, I mean, I was already displeased with that kind of, I mean, it's like, why? All of us were speaking our normal English. And all of a sudden, you just have to change, your accent because, a white man has stepped into our midst. So when the guy was going to say hello to me, I just said, hello, bawo ni sho wapa, and all like that. I mean, I spoke Yoruba to him because I just wanted, so, I mean, he looked at me and said that, what's the meaning of what I said? I said, that's, my language, Yoruba. And I said, wow, that's interesting. Can you teach me, some basic things? At that instance, it took interest in me. Why? Because I was offering, something different. I was not trying to be like the other guys, using, accent or, so that is just the way we should own our identity. Look, we are Africans. We are unique. We are black. So there is no, it's not a disease. Being black is not a disease. Being black is a strength. It's uniqueness. So all of us have to, because the truth is this, if 2 people are the same, it means that one of them is actually, not useful. One of them is useless. Do you get? So because, I mean, it means that this is a phone. So if I have this phone, I have exactly this kind of phone, 2 of it. It means that I can easily do away with one. So, but if I have this and then I have another model, it means, and I cannot particularly do what this one can do, it means that I cannot do away with the both. So it means that, okay, the differences, so the power is in the difference, like that. But I know that, yes, a revolution, is already, blooming up in Africa. And I know that, people are beginning to own, our story. We're beginning to own, our narrative like that. And then a lot of things are beginning, to change. I mean, today more than ever before, we'll see Africans, especially in diaspora, that are proud to say that, okay, I'm an African. Before, everybody will always want to put their, head under the bushel and all like that. But today, we see people that will say that, look, I'm proud Nigerian. We even see it on their gram that they'll put, the flag of Nigeria there. So it means that, something is changing. We are beginning to see that, okay, look, you know what? I'm from Nigeria and there's nothing wrong, with that. I am from Kenya and there's nothing wrong, with that. And all like that. So, and I know that, with time, a lot of these things, will change. So, I mean, and this is just, been, my story over the years like that. So, I mean, and, I'm always happy that whenever I have the opportunity, to speak, today, I'm not speaking because of I'm not trying to speak honorably, because I'm the honorable commissioner for youth and sport today. I'm speaking, from the abundance of my heart. I'm speaking from, the abundance of, the life that I've been living for years, even before now. And like that. So it is not that, okay, oh man, because you are commissioner now, you have to speak like a commissioner. I'm not speaking like a commissioner. I am speaking, the way I would normally speak, like that. So I mean, the office is just perhaps just
a base,
what's
a
it called
platform.
now? It's just a platform, that amplifies whatever I am doing, as a person, like that. Because I mean, so this is not just the Seun Fakorede again. This is I'm representing like a very very wide a very very big group of people like that. So I mean so far so good. It's been an interesting journey. Of course, I'm very very sure that we all know that it's not as easy as it looks. Like that, it's quite, challenging, but I must say that for me, it's challenging, but also, very, very, interesting. It's been an admixture of up and downs, like that, but we always win, and, we always, try to, keep winning.
Wow. What an introduction. I only asked one question. This is how I know you're a true politician. I asked one question, you went on for 20 minutes. Powerful. But I got some amazing nuggets from what you said. Be deliberate and be consistent. Increase your capacity. Tell your story. Nobody can tell your story better than you. And be an exportable material. Also, take pride in your difference, because there's only one you in this world, and God has fashioned you for a specific purpose. So unless you're carrying out that purpose, you become useless. Powerful, absolutely powerful. For the remaining half an hour, I want us to talk about youth development now. I want us to talk about how we develop young people in Nigeria. Is it systematic? Is it an individual? Is it a movement? What is best suited for change when it comes to young people in Nigeria? Are young people even qualified to be in the positions they're shouting to be in? Is it that the system doesn't provide enough space for them? Is it that the system can't accommodate them? What is it? Because we keep hearing young people need to rise in Nigeria, young people. But then again, we see Trump. Trump is in his 70s. Joe Biden, that wants to be the next president, is in his 70s. All the senators in America, they're over 50, 40s. So Nigeria isn't necessarily that far off America when it comes to leadership. I think here in the UK, we have some very, very young MPs and things like that. But in places like America, the people that were complaining that are in position in Nigeria are the same age as those in America. So is it a capacity issue? Because we keep hearing that young people need to rise, but in other Western countries that were saying we need to replicate, they're doing the same thing. So what change is needed?
Okay, so I mean, for us, let's be particular about Africa, So I think, personally, I think that one of the major, thing that we have to do is, first of all, change, our, mindset, individually, like that. And then after changing the mindset, let us all, collectively, build a structure, a system that is actually even stronger, than, individuals like that. So what am I saying? Now, whether you like it or not, I tell people that, just like the best, form of motivation is the self-motivation. I mean, any motivation that comes, from the outside, sometimes, most times, they are always short-lived like that. But the motivation that comes, from within, it's kind of, it keeps pushing you like that. So that's why, when, some of us, were in school, or some of us that are still, your mother or your father or your guardian, to always, put it that to say that, oh, hello, Seun, are you reading your books? And then they call you in the afternoon to remind you, are you reading your books? And then they keep doing that. I think, there's anywhere that it's been done like that. But that if you don't read, you will not. Motivation that, look, I don't want to repeat this course. That motivation that I don't want to repeat this class. Keep I need to do. I just have to, scale through, to the next, level. Start, from that. I don't want to believe that there's anybody too young, to lead, or too, old, to lead like that. As long as there's capacity. So one of the things that should actually, guide us is enough of. And this is actually, to all our youths out there, enough of being, too sentimental like that. Look, if there is a if there's a 70-year-old man that has been able to convince us beyond reasonable doubt that is going to do better than a 27-year-old, than a 30-year-old, and we all can see it, that truly this, 70-year-old man will do better, why not go after the 70-year-old man, and if truly we can see that, okay, this 30-year-old guy, would actually definitely, topple whatever this 70-year-old, a man will do, then let us vote for him. So, but we won't say that, if the 30-year-old guy is not competent, we would not say out of, we just want, youth in place. We now say, okay, let us go after him, and then discredit the credibility or the ability of someone who is 70 like that. So that is why what we should be clamoring for. It is not that, okay, yes, this it is that, okay, let's table and let us see what is on the table like that, and we'll be able to. So, and that is why I frown the same way I frown at youth that necessarily say that, okay, blah 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 blah, we don't want old. Look, Nigeria, Africa, even the world is not a community for the young ones alone. It is an all-inclusive community. We have the male, the female, we have the young, the old. So as long as, and what are women, what is politics, what are policies? Everyone should be part of the policy of his or her community. So whether you are old, you are young, you should be part of the system. So there is no reason why we should say that, okay, some people should go take the back seat, when it comes to issues that actually affect them directly. So these are issues that affect the 70-year-old guy that you're talking about. I mean, he is very, much, it is his right, to participate. So that 25-year-old guy too, it is also his right, to participate. So let it and results. Okay, so we have something to do. Can we get the optimum, performance, from, so let us be able to choose our best. That, okay, yeah, I mean, this person is going to be the one to drive us, to our destination and all like that. So it's just like, we individuals, for example, now you are a businessman, and then, you have a 70-year-old man that they said, okay, if this man works, with you, the return is going to give you at the end of every year per annum is going to be like, maybe $30 million. And then there is a 30-year-old, guy that they said the return this guy is going to bring at the end of every year per annum, it is going to be some $10 million. Now, who are you going to go after? Is it we say that because this guy is a young guy, I'll go after him, and then it's giving you lesser than what the 70-year-old man. Yeah. So what we should go after is performance, and results. So can we actually see results? Merits. Let everything be strictly merit, not based on sentiment, unnecessary sentiment. So that is what will actually make everybody work hard to make sure that, look, whether I'm old, being old is not an excuse. So somebody that wants to be that is 70, that wants to be the commissioner for youth and sports, now, for example, you have to be able to prove to us that, number one, you are youthful, and then you can really engage in most of these things that really makes a commissioner for youth and sports, not just a figurehead. So if you are saying that, can you actually engage as much as I can engage and all like that. So those are the questions that we're going to ask. And then it's high time that we let.
I'm gonna just stop you there just to interject a little bit, because what you're saying here is very powerful. Every society, not just Nigeria or Africa, should be leaders should be picked based on merit. It's simply based on capacity. It's not based on age. It's not based on color. It's not based on ethnicity. It's not based on culture, your tribe. It's simply based on merit, capacity. So I think maybe the issue, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think maybe the do these men have young people in their cabinets? I think that's what the question would be. Because if you've got a man in his 60s that's in a position that's meant to be a position allocated for youth, why is it that he doesn't have the youth at his table? That's what the problem would be. Okay, the president is 70 something. Why is his advisor on youth, or why is his team not full of young people who know the issues of young
people? Show ourselves, approved like that. Because I tell people that, look, whether we like it or not, there has to be, a re-engineering. Even the youth, and then the younger, generation, let us, think, not, as a function of our age now. Because a lot of people be like, okay, yes, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, I've been in a lot of meetings that where we have, younger, persons, there, and then, they are afraid to talk. They are afraid to, definitely, I hear their views and all like that. Yeah. They are afraid to express themselves, which should not be. I tell people that, look, whenever you are given, an opportunity, or you have, you are playing, any role, as any role whatsoever, you don't act your age, you act the responsibility. So that is exactly what you meant to do. So me, for example, now I was, 27 when I became, the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sport. I was not acting like a 20.
Don't act your age, act the responsibility. So yes, you're demanding a responsibility. You're demanding a responsibility of a, let's say, a 50-year-old and you're 25. You have to.
That's just it. So I mean, so for example, now someone becomes a governor at 35, and then you are not a governor at 35. You are not a youth governor. You are not even young governor. You are the governor.
Wow.
So I mean, and then you are governing over people that are your age mates, the ones that are younger, and the ones that are even far older, than you are. So you don't act like a 35-year-old governor. You like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was commissioner at 27. I was not acting like a 27-year-old commissioner. Neither was I acting like a young commissioner. I am the commissioner for youth and sport. And that is what it's going to be, like so. I mean, people should learn, to carry themselves, accordingly. After all, the age of Methuselah has nothing to do with the wisdom of Solomon. I mean, so it is not, about how old, or about how, so just do whatever is expected, of you to do. And until we start seeing ourselves, in that light, I'm very, very sure that, the older generation will still rob us, of our rights and of our entitlement. And that's why I tell people that, look, I'm not a fan of, all these people that go around and say that, okay, yes, I am a young influencer, I am a young global leader, or I'm a young leader, or I'm a young, professor, or I'm a young entrepreneur, or I'm a young, all this, because what I noticed, in my own, findings and then my own interaction is that, the older generation, I think they deliberately introduced that word young to, in a way, water down the potency of the younger generation achieving, exploits,
Wow.
So, I mean, before, it is always, it was quite difficult for you to see a professor, in their 30s. Most times, what we grew up to understand or to know, professors, when you even see them by their look, you know them, because most times they are always, with white, gray hairs
Yeah.
and all like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and then you'll be like, these ones they've read. And then maybe the amount of, the books that they've read have turned, their black, what's it called, black hair strands, to white. So they are always, very old. When you see professor, you are already looking at the picture you have in your head, is an old man or woman, like that. But today, we have professors in their 30s. I mean, so why do we have to now put the fact that he is a professor? He is not a young professor. Because there is the person that you call a young professor did not sit, the exam he sat for was not for young professorship. Or the thesis he wrote was not, so they wrote the same exam. So the same exam a 65-year-old man, wrote to become a professor is the same thesis and the same process that this same, 30-something-year-old guy or girl, wrote. So why do we have to now bring them down to say? So I tell people, look, there's nothing like a young leader. A leader is a leader. A professor is a professor.
Leader.
An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. A photographer is a photographer. A man is a man.
Wow.
If he's not a man, he's a boy. So there's not even like, let's throw away young man. Manhood is not relative. Manhood is absolute. So there are some factors that they've actually looked into to say that, look, you are a man. And as long as you pass, successfully pass the stage, or you enter into that stage of manhood, then you are fit to become a man. So let us call you a man, a gentleman, if you have to put anything, but not necessarily, a young, man. So we need to wake up. So when we wake up and see, when you know that, look, you are not a young professor, you are a professor. So, and then, we younger generation, let us do it. I think, so we want to have a conference now. We say it's a young people's conference. We say it's a young entrepreneur conference. Like that. No, let us remove the young. You're an entrepreneur. So whatever you do, as long as it is enterprising, you are an entrepreneur. So we should remove all those, trying to say that, look, let us be able to have, a conference generation, and then even the old will feel free to come and learn. But when you say that conference, or is a young entrepreneurship, conference, my father, who is, over 60, might find it, uncomfortable to be able to come, learn there. And if he can actually come, there is a lot that he would have been able to gain. But just because of the fact that we've actually, carved it, in such a way that, it makes them feel out of place, they cannot attend. So, I mean, we have, maybe a young, ICT or a young social media conference, for example, now, and then, we already put young. So my father feels that, okay, I'm not young, definitely I cannot, fit into, this picture or this conference. So he doesn't, come. So, but if he had been able to make it the same, because there's nothing like, all of us are using the same Facebook. Whether you are 70-year-old or you are 30-year-old, we use the same Twitter. So if, Donald Trump is not using a special, Twitter, he's using the same Twitter. So I mean, so if we have a conference that teaches people how to maximize social media, Donald Trump should be able to fit into the picture the same way a 20-year-old or another 20 will fit into the picture. So we should just open the opportunities out and let a lot of people come out to make the best of it. So that's just what I believe. I mean, and of course, I tell people that, everything I say, I mean, listeners, discretion is, advised, because, I mean, this is just, my own, opinion. It's not ultimate. You can have, a different, view, but for me, this is just what I think. and this is just because a lot of people think that it could be that a thing of pride to say that, I am a young commissioner and all like that. A lot of people can think it's a thing of pride to say I am a young professor, but it depends on what perspective or what informs your ideology. And for me, this is what informs my ideology, and I mean that's that's exactly what I've been able
Honestly,
to put.
what you've just said now is powerful, and I think it's even renewing and re-engineering, you see, my mind as well. We're not young leaders. We're not politicians, young doctors. We are just doctors that took the exam to become as the 40-year-old. But why that 40-year-old is just a doctor, but I'm a young doctor.
Doctor.
So I am just
That's the way it should be.
Amazing.
That's the way it should be.
Amazing.
So I mean, we should stop clamoring for a young president, because by the time we get to the polls, to vote, there is not going to be where they write young presidency. It is president. So you are voting for a president. So we want a president. So a president can now be 35, he can be 70, but we are voting for a president. Like that. So all those, we should just re-engineer our mind really, to see things in a better light, and then to just act accordingly.
Okay, how many more of you can there be in Nigeria? How many more under 30s can hold office in Nigeria? And if there are any, how can they? What's the route into politics for a young person? Because we're going to get into the finance side of things if we have time, but I want us to just talk about the practical side of it now. How does the young person?
So I mean, I'm very sure that I'm super sure that I'm not well-meaning youths that we have in Nigeria or in Africa or anywhere in the world. I'm very sure that there are a lot of people that are as good or even better than I am, like that. But just because of the fear of like coming, a lot of them are still in their closets, trying to because they are unable. And that is why those are going to keep short. We are going to keep talking, and then we're going to keep letting people know that, look, yes, you have to come out. Now a lot of people believe you cannot do politics without godfatherism or whatever. I'm not against godfatherism, especially it depends on the context that they're using it in every sector have their own vocab. They have the grammar that you use to qualify things. So just like in business, we have mentors. So just like we have pastors and all like that. In politics, the people that it's for you to say, okay, you have a mentor. It's as good as oh, this thing is my God, like that's like a should I use as what would I use in politics? So there's nothing bad godfathers or corrupt godfathers or evil godfathers. In the same way you can have evil mentors, and so you can, I mean, so that's there's nothing at all that is bad in having a god father in politics. The question is what role is your godfather playing in your life, and then what's the definition of that relationship. So let people come out. There is nothing bad that you go to somebody to say that, okay, yeah, sir, I want to follow you, I want to learn from you. Step opportunity to move closer to the system. So if you are interested in politics, and then you are under 30 or you are even under 20, the people that are in the system, that is the only way to learn. You don't learn how to drive indeed by watching, video games or by reading, manuals and all like that. You actually, get on the wheels, and then feel
Yeah.
the way it is. And then a lot of times, for somebody that is learning, for the first time, the person is not, going to just get on the wheels. It will perhaps, sit down beside the driver to watch how things are going. Say, oh, to change it and all like that. And then it will graduate to the next level that we have come. Let us exchange, our seats. So you come to the driver's seat. Let me go to the other side. And then, it drives. And then the person, that is by your side, the person, the teacher, tells don't do it like this, don't do it. So that's to be the roles of, godfathers or mentors, in politics, that you have them. After all, no man is an island. So it is important that you have, people that you actually learn from. It's important you have people that can actually tell you that, okay, you know what, this is how, it is. This is how, it can happen. Don't do this. I mean, this was, for me now, I started, of course, quite, young. And then there are a lot of things that I've learned, by, first-hand experience, that I know that I'm definitely not going to make, my prodigies, go through the same, lane or the same, that direction. Or I have to be able to make, the journey, shorter for them, like that, just because of the fact that I've been able to see that, oh, really, I've gone this level. So I just tell them that, you know what, that path, don't go through that path. Follow this path. This path is shorter. This path is safer. This path is better, like that. So, and that's what's the cruise of everything is that just step out, show up, show up. Nobody's going to come meet you that, oh, you're such a nice guy, and then behind, in your closet, and not need to see you. When good ones don't step out, we definitely have to make use of the available, and but we don't have a choice. So we need, people to actually, step out to do what is expected. Or not everybody deliberate, like, my one, governor, engineer Seun, much in the youth.
Yeah.
So just imagine someone like him that be so much in the youth, and then I'm not capable, enough. Things will not be able to work. About 7, 8 months, in office, already, and then, things are going the way they ought to go. So it's just because of the fact that I've been prepared, for this place. I've been ready, to take up, this, tax, and to do, things. So this is not everything that we all see today. Is not a product of overnight. It's a product of overtime. So it was not when they called me, to be commissioner, that I started, training myself on how to be a leader, or how to, administer, people, or, relationships and engagements, work like that. This is something that I've been, working on, on myself, over time, because you never can tell when, you'll be called upon, to do, something. So, but most importantly, we all need to, open our eyes, open our hearts, and then, support, people that we know that these ones, will definitely rule, with integrity, of the heart and all like that.
Wow. Step out, show up. If you want to be put in position, if you want to be recognized, you can't be recognized from your closet. One day you're going to have to come out. If you don't come out, leaders will rule that may not have the capacity, but because they're out, those are the ones we have to choose. So the good people are neglected because they are too scared to come out. They're too scared to step out and show up. That's a slogan in itself. And step out, show up. If you're watching, you're young, you want to get into politics, and I think that applies for anything. I think that applies everywhere as well. Not just in
everywhere.
Africa, Nigeria. It applies everywhere in the world. So what we've just got here from you is actually 101 on youth development. It's global. It's not just Africa. Step out and step up. if you're not seen, then you can't be poached, you can't be selected. But then again, so what do you say for people? How do you know that you have the capacity? So let's just go off each other now. How do you know? How does a young person know that they have the capacity for what they want to go for, or what their spouse is going to look for you? Is it that the person that you want to be your mentor accepts you? How do you weigh up that, okay, I'm ready now? How did you know that I was ready? I have the capacity now for this office I want to be in. How did you know?
All right. So, I mean, for everyone, it's quite, important that first of all, you know what you carry, and you know what's the stuff that are within you, like that. So, and just like I said, for my own case now, I mentioned that everything what a lot of people see today is actually a product of what I started consciously far back as in 2003. And then, I mean, you ask a lot of people, who are, within my age bracket, today, that, I mean, 2003, where were they? What were they doing in 2003? And, the amazing thing is, this is not just, saying, things. I have friends. I mean, my friends are still with me, friends that, we started, way back, 2003, 2004. They are still around me today that can always, confirm, the things that I'm saying. That, okay,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, we've always known, this guy, and truly that's the path that he has actually, been on. So now, for each and every one of us, we have to be deliberate, we have to be consistent, and,
Intentional.
we just intentional, and then we just have to, do, stuff, show up, volunteer for people, let people know that, look, there is nothing, a very, very good product is useless if he doesn't get the necessary publicity he ought to get. So you have good stuff. You are not going to do anything meaningful if you sit back in your house, if you sit back behind your phone on Twitter, or on Facebook and all like that. Look, that's not gonna solve it. So you have to be able to let people know. And that's why I mentioned something when we started, that when you conquer your locality, you become an exportable material. I mean, in your neighborhood, in your community, do people really know you for what you do? I mean, so I believe that, for each and every one of us, even, for we that are students, people in our class, for instance, maybe you are one gifted into, photography and all like that. I should be able to walk into, a class, of 30 and ask that, okay, do we have someone who is good, with photography? Yeah. So if you are really good with photography, you know that automatically everybody in the class will echo your name. That so is the best, like that. So that is what it means by conquering. Now, like that. So if you have a group of friends, it's quite it's quite funny and interesting when even your friends cannot tell what you can do.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's quite funny. So, and
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people miss opportunity. In fact, there are some people that their friends don't even know the kind of business that they do, or the capacity or the prowess that they have. And that's why you see that, okay, you might be talking with your friend today, and then you say, oh, I was even the one that helped social person facilitate that contract that he got.
Why don't we
And then
know?
and the other person will tell you, guy, I also do this thing now. I mean, why didn't you give me the contract? And then the guy will tell him that, really? So you do? I don't know. I don't know. So people need, to know what you're doing. People need to be able to talk. I mean, everywhere, anything, your body oozes out, or anything you ooze out, should be able to speak of, that thing that you have, prowess in. That people will not think twice and say, oh, yeah. Be proud of it. Dish it out the way you ought to dish it out. Thank God today, I tell people that the internet has broken the walls of partition, in the world today. So, I mean, we are doing stuff now. I'm very sure that there are a lot of people in the UK, and different parts of the world that are on this life. The internet made it possible. So, so there's no for someone like me that I'm in Nigeria. Nigeria is no longer the competition. So the competition is on a global scale. So whatever I do now, I'm not thinking about values. Look, value is absolute, just like the truth. It's absolute. So I mean, the truth in Nigeria, cannot get to the UK or America and become something else. The same way, I'm not going to leave the first only a female or an hermaphrodite. No, I am, the same, person. So that's just the truth about me. That look, Seun Fakorede is a man. So that's the same thing with value. So whatever value that is applicable, that is, look, it is going to the manner of, the methodology, can be different, but of course, the value, the system, and everything is still, quite valid. So the way, some people will interpret what I'm saying in Singapore, might be different, but of course, it's not definitely make what I'm saying, valueless, like that, irrespective.
We have spent an hour discussing your story, discussing youth development, and it was powerful, absolutely powerful. But before it cuts off, thank you all for joining. Seun, thank you so much for joining. We need more leaders like you. He's making a lot of sense, exactly. And what you gave us wasn't just for Africa or Nigeria. I think that was a global perspective, actually. It's every young man's perspective, but tailored to you. So thank you very much for that. It was an amazing session. I know everybody's going to have an amazing day, an amazing week. And I would love to have you back at some stage as well so that we can dive into other things. It would be amazing to
No problem.
And have a deeper conversation. But
Yeah, we'll make that happen.
Before we go, I want 10 people to just write on the comment section, show up, step out, show up, and then we'll close. I just need 10 people to write there, step out, show up. If I took anything away from this session, I took that. Step out, show up. I just need 10 people.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you.
Wow. We've had our 10. So, guys, thank you so much. Step out, show up. Don't be afraid. Embrace your difference, increase your capacity, and be the leader that you need to be. Thank you all very much. Sir,
All right.
Honorable, thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So God created you to do something peculiar to you. It's for you. You have to find it. So entire. So we'll do one more this week. I'll bring on a very, very, very special guest at the end of this. So don't complain, go and grow. Amazing, amazing, amazing.